What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel for the late upload because I got like 12 pages worth of notes here. It's been the most requested video on Twitter. When is the Eagles mock-off season happening after we just got a Jadeveon Clowney hit it out of the playoffs? I was like, all right, let's get into it. And I always take a lot of pride when it comes to my Eagles videos. So here you go. Buckle up, buckaroos. So we're going to start with the offseason. The only way I know how, and using a word Doug Peterson loves to use, self-scouting. Because the first thing up is our coordinators and the medical team. I'm telling you right out the bat, fire the medical team. 2017, 2018, 2019, more starters than like any other team, especially a good team, should have, that's trying to make the playoffs. They're always hurt. Jordan Hicks in 2017, Jason Peters, Carson Wentz, all in IR. 2018, Ajayi, Barnett, Clement, Darby, Jernigan, McLeod, Mills, Sproles, Wallace, all in IR. 2019, Deshaun Jackson, Malik Jackson, Clement, Alshon, LeBlanc, Sproles, Brandon Brooks, Nigel Bradham, Lane Johnson, Timmy Jernigan. All these guys are missing time. We did not have these issues when Chip Kelly was doing these goofy workouts, goofy stretching, and smoothies. Get back to that. Fire the medical team. Fire the strength and conditioning team. They ain't bad. Whatever Malcolm Jenkins is doing to play all these snaps, he needs to be our new strength and conditioning guy. But seriously, fire them. That's the first big one out of the way. Then, you go into the rest of the coordinators, positional coordinators. We'll start small. I think quarterback coach Press Taylor needs to go. DB coach Corey Unlin needs to go. Wide receiver coach Carson Walsh needs to go. These guys here, positional groups underperforming. Press Taylor, there's been a lot of reports too that he's just day and night not as good as what we had in DeFilippo when Carson, that was the guy we had here as an OC during Carson Wentz's MVP year. So names that I would just look for positional wise that I would like to see Philly maybe bring in. Josh McCown, finding a way to get him back on the staff. Graham Harrell from USC, former Texas Tech Air Raid quarterback. Matt Simon from Minnesota Golden Gophers. Those wide receivers really developed nicely. Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman, just to name a few. And then, hey, DeMeco Ryans, Mufasa. He's the inside linebacker coach at San Francisco. Bring him back. If he's an inside, what if we just give him the linebacker? Get rid of Ken Fajol and get DeMeco on this coaching staff. I'd be all for it. But for the big two coordinators, we first up have offensive coordinator Mike Groh. I thought it was a meme when people said he was getting head coach consideration. He has to go, man. I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but his wide receivers underperform. He's a wide receiver background. His game plans suck. His opening game scripts suck. I don't know what positive he offers. We need brand new ideas in this coaching room on both sides of the ball. So when I'm looking at replacements for Mike Groh, I think Baltimore quarterback coach James Urban could be interesting. Obviously, with the success of Lamar Jackson, he should be a kind of popular name, but he has ties. He was here in Philadelphia under Andy Reid, so that could be somewhere where you look. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback coach Mike Kafka, same lines, was here in Philadelphia actually as a player, now is with Andy Reid in Kansas City. So would be an easy transition for him to make. Plus, getting a little bit of what the Chiefs do on offense, wouldn't hate that. But I actually think my number one candidate right now that makes the most sense, Mike McCarthy. Just got the head coaching job in Dallas. And he says he's going to entertain maybe keeping Kellen Moore on as the OC. But seeing what Kellen Moore did to transition Dak Prescott as one of the most prolific passers in the NFL this year, was second or third in yards. If Kellen Moore is not retained, absolutely bring him in for an interview. Maybe I personally feel like Mike McCarthy will try to demote him, keep him on staff, but demote him. If I'm Doug Peterson, I'm calling him out and saying, hey, what do you think you could do with this offense? Let's kind of entertain some brand new, fresh ideas, because clearly what he did worked. And he was doing that with a quarterback that's Dak Prescott's talent. Imagine what he could do with Carson Wentz and healthy wide receivers here in Philadelphia with our offensive line. I definitely would kick the tires on Kellen Moore if he does become available. And honestly, I never thought I would say it because he looks weird with that stupid bowl cut. Looks like a sex offender. I would love him to be our OC right now. And I think it's a realistic hire, especially if Mike McCarthy wants to bring in his own guys. And then you finish up with Jim Schwartz at the DC spot. This is where I look for you guys. Because, this probably might have been the last time I talk about the Eagles offseason, but I have no idea who should replace Jim Schwartz, but personally, I'm done. He's not a terrible DC, but there's only so many 3rd and 10s that are critical that he fails with the same stuff, same mistakes. His failure to adapt, it drives me insane. It absolutely drives me insane. And that combined with the fact that he has these guys, his guys, that aren't good enough that he keeps throwing out there. Like Nigel Bradham, shell of his former self, bust after we gave him that big contract. Nate Gary's not good enough. Jalen Mills is not good enough. These schemes, this wide 9, having our corners just watch the quarterback first and get burnt by wide receivers every time. I'm ready for something new, but I have no idea who could replace him. So give me some names in the comment section below. Last year I suggested, and this would be a dream hire, going to Clemson and getting their defensive coordinator Brett Venables. With NFL moving more and more to that college offense, why not get a guy that runs the best 4-3 in college that can stop the college offense? I think that's a dream hire, but very, very unlikely that he's going to leave Clemson. But definitely give me some ideas, because I have no idea. Literally, I had Jack Del Rio written down in my notes about a week ago, and then he got picked up by the Washington Redskins. But I'll tell you right now, if you're giving me ideas, better make sure they run a 4-3. Like Rex Ryan, he's a 3-4 guy, for an example. So now that those are the coordinators, we're still up in the air with Jim Schwartz, but everyone else gone. Let's look at Philadelphia in terms of free agency, some in-house signings, some in-house cuts. We got to start with the cuts first. Let's do some roster evaluation. So very, very quickly, guys that I would keep, guys that I would cut, and guys that I'm not sure about. I would keep Cam Johnson, keep Vinny Curry, keep Rodney McLeod, keep Camus, keep Nate Sudfeld, and I would try to keep Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard, along with Boston Scott and Miles Sanders, is a healthy running back room. But again, the two big names there would be Rodney McLeod and Jordan Howard. They have their price points. They want more money. They are, in a way, replaceable. They're not irreplaceable. I would not overpay to keep them. Guys that I would get rid of, Nigel Bradham. Philadelphia has a team option on his contract. He is no way, shape, or form living up to the big money that we gave him after the Super Bowl. I would get rid of him, but again, could be tough with Jim Schwartz here. Same goes with Jalen Mills. I think Jalen Mills is going to he's going to demand way too much that Philadelphia will probably pay because of Jim Schwartz, but he's not worth it. He has to go play. He's a safety playing corner. I would get rid of him right now. I would love to keep him, especially. I like him. There's no way that the price point's going to make sense to keep Jalen Mills on this team. To keep Jalen Mills on this team for a corner that's good at tackling, good in the red zone, and terrible between the numbers. Darby's gone. Nelson Aguilar's gone. Darren Sproles is retiring. I think Big V's going to go. I think some teams that are more desperate than we are at offensive line will pay him to be a starter versus we have him just as depth. I think Timmy Jernigan, I like him. He's just hurt all the time. Too unreliable. Corey Clement, same kind of thing. I like Corey Clement. Too unreliable. Missed the last 2 years on IR. If we keep a fourth running back, things could get interesting there. I mean, I would be all for Jordan Howard, Corey Clement coming back, and then with Boston Scott and Miles Sanders making up our backfield. But if not, best of luck elsewhere. I'll cheer for you wherever you go. And then the big question mark there's two. First up is Jason Peters, who I guess during the media locker room clear out, it's like, I want to come back and play. It's like, well, we just drafted your replacement in the first round. Kind of weird, kind of awkward. So I don't know if they can find a way to move either Peters or Dillard to guard or something like that. But that's definitely a big question. And same with Alshon Jeffrey. People are saying that if he fails, there's something in his contract where if he fails his workout, fails the medical, they can get rid of him. And there's no way you're not going to take a big hit, but they save $10 million with the salary cap. I'd probably do it, honestly. I like Alshon Jeffrey. I'm thankful for what he did during the Super Bowl year. But, we got to move on. He's washed. He's so slow. If he's the guy that's leaking all that stuff, that Josina Anderson chick, he's not great in the locker. I don't know. I'd probably side on the way of if we can get rid of Alshon and just move on. That's probably what's best. So that's kind of talking about in-house for Philadelphia. Now looking outside, when you go to free agency, I've kind of tiered these up. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Now these tiers are just by name value, I think. It's a combination of name value and who I really want. Just because Philly doesn't draft linebackers a lot, I think they more so could be looking at free agency. And then wide receivers just because we need some deep threats. So Tier 3, this is the lowest tier. We got 3 wide receivers here. Keith Kirkwood, he's a fast burner from Temple. Rashad Higgins, Hollywood Higgins from the Cleveland Browns. And Demarcus Robinson, former Florida Gator, doing pretty good things. It's wide receiver 4 in Kansas City. But you look at the valuation of all these guys, Higgins and Kirkwood are around $1 million. They're flyer guys. I wouldn't be against bringing in Kirkwood. He's a speedster, local kid. But right now, according to Over the Cap, that's what I use for all these figures, Robinson's about valued at $5 million per year. He's more of a slot guy than he's an outside guy. We don't really play with a whole lot of slot wide receivers, so I'd kind of be against that. But those are just names in Tier 3 that maybe I wouldn't hate getting. Going up another tier to Tier 2, I think you look at wide receiver Brashad Perriman, who broke out, former first-round bust, but broke out this year on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think with the Bucs having Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they're not going to pay Perriman, who's right now the current market value of him is around $5 million per year. I think for Philadelphia, that's a great. That would be great value. That is right now Tier 2 Perriman. Yes, give me him at $5 million per year if that's what's going to cost him. 100% give me him at $5 million per year. And it also gives you some flexibility of not having to grab a wide receiver in the first or second round of the draft just because they're fast. Because at least you have Perriman, who has legit low 4.3 speed. And then the linebacker, Corey Littleton from the Rams, but he's currently valued around $8.5 million per year. That's a little too much for my blood. Then you go to Tier 1. You have Robbie Anderson, the deep threat from the Jets. He's about $9 million per year. This is the big name you're going to see everywhere linked with Philadelphia. But if Anderson right now, his market value is 9 and Perriman's 5, give me Brashad Perriman. A little bit more risk with Perriman, but Anderson's never gone over 1,000 yards. So give me Perriman at 5. And this is the big name. This is my number one signing target. Nick Kwiatkowski, the linebacker from the Chicago Bears, currently valued around $5 million per year. He's never really been a starter there, kind of a back. I loved him. I had him mocked to the Eagles when he was coming out of West Virginia. He's a converted safety. He's a better version of Nate Gary. Give me Nick Kwiatkowski and Brashad Perriman as our 2 free agency signings. That's $10 million worth of salary a year. Very, very affordable for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I would rather not. You know, the fact that you essentially could get Nick Kwiatkowski and Brashad Perriman for the same cost as Robbie Anderson, because you're going to see a lot of Philadelphia linked with Robbie Anderson. There's better ways to spend that money. So then from that, we go into the draft. Philadelphia's current draft picks. We got a first round, a second round, 2 third rounds, 3 fourth rounds, 2 fifth rounds, and a 6th round pick in the upcoming draft. We got a 3rd round comp pick from Nick Foles and 2 4th round comp picks from the Golden Tate deal and the Jordan Hicks deal last year in free agency. So rather than doing a mock draft, like I said, I did a mock draft already, and one of my players, it was Devonta Smith from the Alabama. He went back to school. So rather than doing a mock draft that might not make sense, and half these guys could go back to school if you're watching this like 2 or 3 days down the line, I'm just more so going through all the positions and giving you some players and prospects I really do think could potentially be great fits for the Philadelphia Eagles, where I think Eagles should draft him. What I mean by that, here we go. We'll start with the quarterbacks. I think Philly could be in the market for a backup quarterback. So the number one name I would look for, I think Anthony Gordon, because of the Gardner Minshew hype, he could be interesting. I like Caleb Barker from Troy. He's, you know, again, who's this guy? He doesn't really fit the mold for a Doug Peterson quarterback. He's like 6'1", 210, but he's a 67% completion percentage passer. Yeah, it's in the Sun Belt, but if we're looking for an accurate backup, I'm looking at that guy right now. Caleb Barker from Troy. Like the Michael Pirine from my Florida Gators, or Tavian Feaster from South Carolina. Both those guys well over 220 pounds. Both of them fairly athletic. I think they'll be really, really nice gets on day 3. Wide receiver, pretty much everywhere across the board. You're going to be familiar with a lot of these names. Henry Ruggs, T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, Justin Jefferson from LSU. But some little more unknown names, because I don't think Philadelphia has to purely just get speed this year. I love to say at least 2 picks, 2 wide receivers that are fast. I had them in my mock that behind closed doors. I had them getting 3 wide receivers. I think we don't have to ignore a good wide receiver if they're not a burner, because we still just need guys that can catch the ball. So like I said, T. Higgins from Clemson, not really a speed guy, can catch the ball. Justin Jefferson from LSU, not really a speed guy, but can catch the ball. But if you guys want some names, everyone wants speed. Some names that you might not be familiar with, but are really, really fast. Just wait to the 40-yard dash. Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State, Devin Duvernay from Texas, Jeff Thomas from Miami, and Demetrius Robertson from Georgia. Jeff Thomas and Robertson probably both could be had on day 3. In my Eagles mock, I had them getting both those guys with one of our 5ths and one of our 6th. Get me both Jeff Thomas and Demetrius Robinson, guys that are great athletes, have no production in college, but their tape looks really, really good. Those are your 2 guys that I'm pounding the table right now. If Philly doesn't get that top, if Philly misses out like on a Henry Ruggs in the 1st round, I'm not worried, because Jeff Thomas and Robertson are going to be there around 4, 5, and 6. Pull the trigger. Looking at tight end, we might need a 3rd tight end, so Adam Troutman from Dayton or Josiah DeGuara from Cincinnati. Looking at offensive tackle, could be looking at depth tackle again, maybe to replace Big V if he walks. Yasir Durant or Mekhi Beaton from Louisville. I think Beaton could get some first round buzz, which would be annoying, but I really do like him when he fits that gigantic. He's like 6'6", 370. Fits what Doug Pearson wants in an offensive lineman. And then interior, I mean, Kevin Dodson from Louisiana, John Runyon Jr. from Michigan, obviously for name value, but unreal. And if Jason Kelce surprisingly retires, Keith Ismail from San Diego State. I think he could be a really, really nice center. He's been really, really good pro football focused darling for quite some time. I think you might be able to get all 3 of those guys day 3. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, some defensive ends we could be looking for. More so later rounds, Carter Coughlin, Jonathan Garvin, Alton Robinson. More so just rotational guys, more so developmental guys than sure thing. So it's day 3. Defensive tackle, Devon Hamilton from Ohio State, James Lynch from Baylor, or Mustafa Johnson from Colorado. I think we get someone that can get penetration, someone that can be groomed to potentially be the heir to Malik Jackson. Because Malik Jackson pretty much only has 1 more year next year in Philly, and then he's going to be, he's going to be washed. He's going to be going to free agency. So get someone that complements what we have in Fletcher Cox. Get someone that when Cox is eating the double teams, they can really, split the guards, split inside, and get after the quarterback. All 3 of those guys can do it. Linebackers. Put some emphasis on linebackers. I would not hate if they found a way to trade up and get Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. If not, which we probably don't because Philly doesn't value linebackers, looking more 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, maybe 5th round, UDFA, Troy Dye, Akeem Davis Gaither from App State, Dante Olson from Montana. Most of those last 2 guys are later rounds. I'm all in if they want to trade like a 1st and a 3rd to move up a little bit in the 1st round to get Isaiah Simmons. Because you look at like all the teams that made the playoffs this year, they all have good linebackers for the most part, right? Like, just truly think about it. Philly does not have a really high-level linebacker, but when you look at the teams that made the playoffs, New Orleans is Demario Davis. Seattle's Bobby Wagner. Niners have they invested heavily in Quan Alexander, and they used a high pick on Fred Warner. Buffalo has Tremaine Edmonds. Minnesota, Eric Kendricks. Houston has Bernardo McKinney and Zach Cunningham, first and second round picks. Tennessee, Rashawn Evans, first round pick. All these teams are investing in linebacker. Philly, maybe think about investing in linebacker, and Isaiah Simmons is the only guy worthy of a first round early investment, in my opinion. Not a huge fan of Monty Rice or Kenneth Murray. And then finishing up in the secondary corner, Christian Fulton from LSU, Jeff Gladney, Jalen Johnson, A.J. Terrell, Eric Stokes from Georgia, more a later round game. Same with Troy Pride from Notre Dame, more so a speed guy. We just need to get faster on defense. I'm sick and tired of getting beat deep. And then you get safety, Antoine Winfield, Julian Blackman, Antoine Brooks, Kyle Duggar from Lenore Ryan, or Shaheem Carter from Alabama. Like, obviously, I just threw a lot of names at you. That's how I'm making this video not half hour, because I could also literally go through all these prospects and tell you why they would fit good for the Eagles. But I more so just wanted to give you guys some names, so as we get ready for the Combine and all this stuff and Pro Days and the Senior Bowl, these are some guys you go, oh, C4 talked about. Let's see what he's saying here. So I just gave you guys the cheat sheet, and if you want to go above and beyond, do some homework. I did all the legwork for you guys. So that is my mock offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. I really do think with all the draft assets they have this year, they can really fix a lot of the team's issues here. I think I would love some suggestions of who we potentially could replace for Jim Schwartz at DC. Free agency, it's not a great free agency period to fix what Eagles suck at. There's not a lot of speed at wide receiver. There's no outside corners. But if we want to look at linebacker, I'm telling you, Nick Witkowski, I'd be if it's $5 million a year, again, Nick Witkowski and Brashad Perriman. Give me those two guys. But hey, look at that. I'm about 10 minutes shorter this video than any of the other 3 times, and it's almost 8 o'clock, so it's going to be a super weird upload. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be looking through all the comments here, as I always do on my beloved Eagles videos. So if you're an Eagle fan, let me know what you feel about it. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace